Every vegetable you bought at the nursery this spring will be dead by November. You'll buy more next spring, and the spring after that, and the spring after that, for the rest of your gardening life, unless someone tells you about the plants on this list. These 12 vegetables come back from the root every single year without replanting. Not self-seeding annuals, actual perennials. Returning from living root systems that get stronger and more productive every year, you leave them in the ground. Most of them you have never seen at any nursery. Most of them you have never heard of. And a few of them are going to genuinely stop you in your tracks. And if you're thinking, okay, but Sydney, if I can't buy them at the nursery, where do I get them? The answer is online. That's what I do. I just search the plant I want, and usually Google brings up seed companies or specialty nurseries that will ship seeds, bulbs, young plants, trees, shrubs, or vines right to your door. Depending on where you live, that's how you find the varieties your local nursery doesn't stock. Let's go. Number 1, the American Groundnut, zones 3 through 9. I want to start here because most people have no idea this plant exists, and once you know about it, you will not be able to stop thinking about it. The American Groundnut, Apios americana, is a native North American perennial vine that produces clusters of tubers strung together underground like a string of pearls. The tubers taste like a rich, nutty potato. Indigenous peoples across the eastern half of North America ate them as a primary staple food for thousands of years. Early European settlers ate them to survive their first winters in the New World. And then, commercial agriculture arrived, the potato took over, and this extraordinary plant was completely forgotten. Here's what makes it unlike almost anything else on this list. The American groundnut is a legume. It fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere, directly into the soil, the same way beans and peas do. Which means every year you grow it, the soil around it gets more fertile rather than depleted. A food crop that feeds you and improves the land at the same time. It vines up to 6 feet tall, providing vertical interest in habitat. It produces a second edible, seeds that can be eaten like beans. And it is completely ignored by deer, which, if you garden in most of North America, is reason enough to grow it on its own. Hardy to zone 3, grows in full sun to partial shade, prefers moist sandy soil near a structure to climb. Harvest the tubers in fall and leave some in the ground. They regrow every spring, spreading slowly outward and producing more tubers each year. A planting that's been in the ground for 5 years produces dramatically more than a planting in year 1. You can forage it in the wild across much of the eastern United States if you know what you're looking for. Most people walk right past it. Number 2, oca, zones 7 through 9, or zones 5 through 6 with protection. Oca is the second most widely grown food crop in the Andean highlands of South America after the potato. It has been cultivated there for thousands of years. There are hundreds, possibly thousands, of distinct varieties and colors that seem almost impossible for a food crop. Deep burgundy, bright pink, sunset gold, lemon yellow, pure white, mottled and striped. It looks like something from a fantasy garden. It tastes like a lemony, slightly tangy potato when eaten raw, and becomes sweeter and more complex when cooked or left in the sun to cure for a few days after harvest, a process that converts some of the starches into sugars. It has never been commercially developed in North America. You will not find it at any mainstream nursery. You will find it at specialty seed companies and perennial plant suppliers, usually listed as New Zealand Yam, a name it got because New Zealand is one of the few English-speaking countries where it became a mainstream vegetable crop after its introduction in the 1800s. Here's what makes oca remarkable beyond the colors and the flavor. It stores incredibly well after harvest, weeks on a countertop, months in a cool cellar. The leaves are edible, with a pleasant lemony bite from their oxalic acid content. And it produces tubers prolifically from late summer through first frost, with a single plant yielding a pound or more of tubers in a productive season. In the right climate, mild winters, cool summers, it comes back perennially from tubers left in the ground. In colder zones, treat it like a dahlia. Dig the tubers before hard frost, store them dry through winter and replant in spring. A few tubers become a significant harvest within one season. Number 3, lovage, zones 3 through 9. Lovage is a 6-foot-tall perennial herb that tastes like an intensely concentrated celery. Every part is edible. The leaves, the stems, the seeds, the roots. The leaves go into soups, stews, and salads where you'd use celery. The hollow stems can be used as edible straws for Bloody Marys if you're the kind of person who gardens and entertains simultaneously. The seeds dry and store in seasoned food through winter. The plant grows from a permanent taproot that expands slightly every year, producing more growth each spring than the year before. You plant it once, and it becomes a permanent fixture. Most gardeners who grow lovage say the hardest thing about it is keeping up with the harvest. Number 4, sorrel, zones 3 through 9. Sorrel is the first green ready in spring, sometimes the first edible thing in the garden, poking through the soil while there's still frost on the ground. The flavor is sharp and lemony from oxalic acid, extraordinary in soups and sauces, and it can be harvested continuously through the growing season because it regrows from the base after each cutting. A mature sorrel plant in good soil is essentially a perpetual salad green machine. Plant it once, harvest it forever, and it asks almost nothing from you in return. Number 5. Sea kale. Zones 4 through 9. Sea kale is native to European coastlines and grows in pure gravel above the tide line, which tells you almost everything you need to know about its tolerance for neglect. It produces broad blue-green leaves and shoots that can be blanched in early spring by covering the crown with an upturned pot, producing pale, tender stems with a flavor somewhere between asparagus and hazelnuts. It is one of the most gourmet perennial vegetables you can grow. It appears in upscale restaurant gardens in Britain and Scandinavia, and almost nobody in North America has heard of it. Established plants live for decades. They spread slowly from the crown and eventually form impressive architectural clumps. The flowers are edible too, small white clusters that appear in early summer and taste like honey. Number 6. Good King Henry. Zones 3 through 9. Good King Henry is a perennial green that was the spinach of medieval Europe before actual spinach took over. The young shoots can be eaten like asparagus in early spring. The leaves are cooked like spinach or charred through the summer. The seeds can be eaten like quinoa. Because it's in the same family, it is drought tolerant, cold hardy to zone 3, grows in partial shade, and self-maintains once established. It was a primary garden vegetable across Europe for centuries, and has virtually disappeared from cultivation in living memory. The entire reason it stopped being grown is that spinach is easier to sell commercially. That's it. Number 7. Turkish Rocket. Zones 4 through 9. Turkish Rocket produces tender young mustard greens in early spring, and florets similar to broccoli rabe through May. It gets large and established over summer, and then, this is the part that surprises people, produces another flush of tender new. Growth in late August when most of the garden is winding down. 2 harvests per season, from a plant that costs nothing to maintain after the first year. The flavor is spicy and complex, and the established root system means it outcompetes weeds once it's settled in. Number 8. Welsh Onion. Zones 3 through 9. The Welsh Onion is a fully perennial bunching onion that never forms a bulb. It just keeps producing green onion tops continuously from a clump that spreads slightly every year. You harvest from the outside of the clump, leaving the center to keep growing. It overwinters in Zone 3. It produces through most of the year. It divides easily to give starts to other parts of the garden or to neighbors. And it's essentially maintenance-free once established. If you cook with green onions even occasionally, a single established clump eliminates the need to ever buy them again. Number 9. Walking Onion. Zones 3 through 9. The Egyptian walking onion is one of the genuinely strange and wonderful things in the edible plant world. Instead of producing seeds at the top of its flower stalk, it produces small bulblets. Those bulblets get heavy, the stalk bends under the weight, the bulblets touch the ground, and they root, literally walking across the garden one plant length at a time over the years. You can eat the green tops like chives, the small bulbs at the base, or the bulblets at the top. Every part is edible, and the plant spreads slowly but reliably every year, eventually covering a useful patch of ground with zero input from you. Number 10. 9-star perennial broccoli. Zones 4 through 9. Standard broccoli is an annual. You grow it, it produces one head, you pull it out. 9-star perennial broccoli produces multiple smaller white heads per plant per year, and returns from the root every spring for 3 to 5 years or more. The flavor is mild and sweet, the plant reaches impressive size and established form, and it requires the same conditions as standard broccoli, but asks you to plant it only once. It is significantly less common in North American seed catalogs than it deserves to be. Number 11. Perennial Kale. Zones 7 through 10, and milder Zone 6 with protection. Most kale is biennial, grown for 2 seasons, then it's done. Tree kale, Dobbinton's kale, and walking stick kale are genuine perennials that can live for years, reaching several feet in height, producing harvestable leaves continuously through the growing season. Tree kale in particular can reach 5 to 6 feet tall over multiple years, becoming a permanent fixture in the garden. It doesn't seed prolifically, it propagates by cuttings, which means once you have one plant, you can expand your planting for free indefinitely. Number 12. Skirrit. Zones 4 through 9. Skirrit is a nearly forgotten ancient root vegetable with a long culinary history in Europe, prized for its sweet, aromatic white roots that were once considered a delicacy. It's in the carrot family, produces clusters of sweet white roots that taste like a cross between parsnip and carrot with a nutty sweetness, and unlike many root crops, skirrit improves with time, producing larger harvests in subsequent years when left undisturbed. It was a staple of medieval European gardens, appears in Tudor-era cookbooks, and has essentially vanished from cultivation in modern times for no reason other than it doesn't grow well at commercial scale. The roots are thin and fiddly to clean, which means a supermarket will never carry it, which means your garden is the only place you will ever eat it fresh. Hardy down to zone 4, established plants produce an abundance of edible rhizomes that taste sweet and nutty, and the flavor improves after frost. Cold temperatures convert starches to sugars, and a root harvested in November tastes noticeably better than one pulled in September. None of these 12 plants are available at the average nursery, because nurseries make money selling you annuals. A plant you buy once and grow forever is not a business model for them. It is one for you. I hope you learned a few new things and see you in the next one.